A light drizzle fell over the quiet highway diner that afternoon, the kind of small-town place where nothing ever happened until everything did. The smell of coffee drifted through the air, and a group of rough-looking bikers sat together at a corner table, their laughter echoing through the nearly empty room. To most they looked intimidating, leather jackets, tattoos, and engines that could shake the ground. But beneath that rugged exterior, they were just a group of friends who called themselves the Iron Brothers, men who had seen enough of the world to know when something wasn't right. None of them knew that in a matter of minutes, their day, and their hearts, would change forever. The sound came first. The rapid thump of small feet splashing through puddles outside the diner, followed by the frantic jingle of the doorbell as it swung open. Everyone turned. A little girl, no older than 6, stood trembling in the doorway, rainwater dripping from her tangled hair, her tiny hands clutching the doorframe. Her voice cracked through the stunned silence. Please help. They're beating my mama." For a moment time froze. The waitress gasped, her hand flying to her mouth. One of the bikers, a large man named Rick, broad shoulders, gray beard, eyes like stone, rose slowly from his chair. "What did you say, sweetheart?" he asked gently, his tone soft despite his rough voice. The girl stumbled closer, tears streaking her face. "Mama, they hurt her. In the alley by the store, please, help her." Rick exchanged glances with his brothers. No one needed to speak. They'd all seen enough pain in their lives to recognize the kind that could break a child's spirit. Without hesitation, they threw a few bills on the table and stormed out of the diner, engines roaring to life. The little girl clung to Rick's vest as he lifted her onto his bike. "Don't worry, kiddo," he said, revving the engine. "We've got your mama." They followed her shaky directions through the rain, down a narrow backstreet behind a convenience store. That's when they heard it, shouting, crying, the unmistakable sound of violence. A man's voice barked curses, followed by the dull thud of fists hitting flesh. Rick's jaw clenched as they rounded the corner. There, in the dim glow of a flickering streetlight, a woman lay on the ground, her arm raised to shield herself. Two men stood over her, one swinging, the other laughing. Rick didn't think twice. He revved his engine hard, the deafening roar cutting through the rain like thunder. The men froze, startled by the sudden arrival of a dozen angry bikers. Within seconds, the Iron Brothers surrounded them. The one laughing tried to run, but Tank, the biggest of them all, blocked his path. "Going somewhere," he growled. The attackers dropped their weapons, stammering excuses, but it was too late. Rick stepped forward, towering over them. "You ever lay a hand on her again," he said, his voice low and dangerous, "and you'll answer to us." One of the bikers called the cops while another helped the woman to her feet. She was bruised, her lip bleeding, but her eyes searched desperately for something or someone. When she saw her daughter, she let out a sob of pure relief. The girl leaped into her mother's arms, clinging to her like she'd never let go. The sight silenced even the toughest of the Iron Brothers. For a long moment, no one spoke, only the sound of rain falling softly around them. When the police arrived, the bikers gave their statements, making sure the attackers were taken away in handcuffs. The mother, still shaken, turned to Rick and whispered, "I don't know how to thank you." He shook his head. "You don't have to. You've got someone who needs you to get better, that's thanks enough." The little girl tugged at his vest. "You're heroes," she said, her voice trembling but sincere. The bikers chuckled softly, and Rick knelt to meet her eyes. "Nah, sweetheart," he said, smiling faintly. "We're just people who don't look the other way." The woman and her daughter were taken to the hospital that night. The bikers followed on their motorcycles, just to make sure they got there safely. They didn't leave until the doctor confirmed she was stable. Before leaving, the girl gave Rick a paper heart she'd torn from a hospital brochure. "For you," she whispered shyly. "So you don't forget me." Rick folded the heart carefully and slipped it into his vest pocket. "Never will," he promised. Weeks passed, and life rolled on. The Iron Brothers went back to their rides, their laughter, their long stretches of open road, but something had changed. They'd always seen themselves as outsiders, drifters with no place to belong. Yet, somehow, that little girl and her mother had reminded them that even rough men could make the world gentler, one act of courage at a time. Months later, as the sun dipped low over the same diner, a small figure ran across the lot again, not crying this time, but smiling. It was the little girl, her mother walking behind her, now healthy and strong. They came bearing homemade cookies, and a hand-drawn picture of the bikers surrounded by hearts. "We wanted to see our heroes," she said proudly. Rick looked at his brothers and then back at her. He laughed softly, a sound roughened by emotion. "Guess we're family now, huh?" And for the first time in a long time, every one of those tough men felt it, not just the rumble of their engines, but the quiet power of doing what was right. Sometimes heroes wear leather and ride motorcycles. And sometimes, all it takes to bring them out, is the cry of a little girl who refused to give up on love.